Hello, welcome to the Daily Grind here on Latte Firm, Tuesday, the 24th of June. And it's been a very slow and painful and long 24 hours of transfer speculation. Well, there's nothing there, is there? I'm delighted to be joined by Rory Talks Football. Rory, welcome to the firm. How are you?
Hello. I'm very well, thank you. Always enjoy coming on.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate that. Rory, first question first. How are you enjoying this window, if at all?
I'm not enjoying it massively. I feel like the whole first window and then the little break and now another window where we've not really kind of started building momentum is it's slow, but we'll see how it continues.
Yeah, it's been really sort of long already. Like we're only a few days in. I mean, it started June the 1st. We had those 10 days, and then of course there was that break for the start of the Club World Cup. It's now reopened, and it's just tumbleweed outside London Colney. Nothing really happening. Although Zubimendi has been and gone and signed, apparently, just hasn't been announced for accountancy purposes. But tonight we're going to talk about Victor Gyökeres and Šeško. Nothing to do with the players. Nothing to do with their player profiles. We have talked about that to death. There are bigger, better accounts like yourself out there doing that on a daily, on a regular. But it is more about what is happening with Andrea Berta. Why is he talking to both players? Is this some sort of ploy, secret plan to play them off against each other? So I want to get your thoughts. Hagen's in the house. Eduardo, Hedu, welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. You need to come on. I've been just respond to your DMs. He's working so hard during the window. He ignores people like me. Gentlemen, Dizzle, thank you. And not like me to be running late. My apologies. But welcome to the Daily Grind, people. If you're tuning in for the first time, please do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get involved in the chat. Obviously, really pleased to have Rory on board. And tonight we're going to talk about Šeško and Gyökeres and just Arsenal's approach in the market. A really interesting article from Sam Dean, who's back from his holidays. We'll talk about Miles Lewis-Skelly moving into midfield. He has signed a new contract, and there's been a lot of talk about that on the usual podcast that everybody follows, the Arscast and the Arsenal Vision podcast. I want to get your thoughts on that and chat. Let me know if that's what you would do. And then we'll look at your unpopular signing that you would make that would potentially rile the feathers of Arsenal fans, and chat, because we might finish these slides quite early, get some questions in to Rory and I will try and keep an eye for them, and I'll star them and I'll save them for towards the end of the show. Right, there's loads of you watching already. Fantastic. Right, Rory, what is going on with regards to Šeško and Victor Gyökeres? Is no news good news? And let me set the scene. AFC stuff today, sort of summarizing an article that Sam Dean has written in the Telegraph, and it's basically saying Andrea Berta is effectively working to price up different deals for both strikers before we decide to trigger and execute either one. The two leading candidates are believed to be, obviously, Šeško and Gyökeres. We've been, negotiating with them and their families and their agents and their clubs since time began, it feels. A well-connected source in Germany confidently told the Telegraph Sport that last month Šeško was the absolute preferred candidate. But the same source has come back just a few weeks ago saying that the situation has now become, from his perspective, a mess. And it is now entirely possible that Arsenal are pursuing both deals, making the truth about their preferred target only because they want to strengthen their negotiation position. This is new. I've not seen Arsenal operate like this. Maybe we have, and maybe it's just always been kept under wraps. But Andrea Berta is our new director of football. What do you make of this, Rory?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely haven't done this before. We certainly didn't do it under Edu. It always felt like with Edu, we were going after one person at a time. If it works, I think it's fantastic, and I don't think we're in a rush, and I do think we hold the cards. There are two strikers here. Both of their clubs need to sell them. Like there is no way around it. Leipzig have to sell Šeško. Sporting have to sell Gyökeres, especially with the way that he's kind of fallen out with them fairly publicly now. And there aren't that many clubs in our position where they can afford to go and sign either of them. So I think there's a big game of chicken going on to a large extent. And I don't think Andrea Berta will be the one that blinks first. If you look at the experience of him, he comes across as a very cool, calm, collected character. And so I don't think he'll be the one that blinks first. And for fans, that is leaving us kind of waiting and holding our breath and hoping. And I feel like we've got a lot of kind of PTSD almost of failing to sign strikers. But yeah, as Hand of Arsenal there says, in Andrea I trust until I have a reason not to. So he's got this window to prove that the methods work.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there is a lot of pressure on Andrea Berta. Wow, so many of you are so calm. Yambele, calm everyone. Loads of time left. AP says yes, no need to panic. Hand of Arsenal, of course. The ITK goat saying in Andrea, I trust. I mean, look, I maybe that's a reflection of the community that we've built here at Latte FM, so do get involved. But I think it's a risky game. Like, I like the fact that from a business perspective, it puts the power in Arsenal's hands. You would think you can, play one against the other to say, actually, our preference is, player A over player B, and player A is requesting, slightly lower wages. Maybe player B, you got to come down on your demands. Maybe we can even play off the clubs, like, club A, you're having a laugh for that sort of fee that you want for that play, because we can get this guy who's a goal machine in a different league, and he's going to be a lot less. So maybe there's a little bit of dark arts with regards to that, but it is risky because you could annoy a club, you could annoy the player and the camp and the family and the sort of agents, but you could also maybe force another club's hand in terms of a potential suitor. United have been smelling around Victor Gyökeres. Gyökeres has apparently come out and said all he wants is Arsenal. Šeško is available. Like, Liverpool, the way they're buying but also selling, they might raise funds, they might get rid of Darwin Nunez, they might just last minute pounce in case they can't get their main man Isak. So I'm nervous, and I really hope it sort of works out, but there is a risk that we end up sort of fighting these guys off against each other or pitting them against one another, and we take weeks and weeks and months, and then all of a sudden you're in the last couple of weeks and then it's sort of panic mode and you might have to look elsewhere. Does that enter your mind?
Yeah, it does. I think for me, as long as it's done by the end of next week, ideally, I think that if it's not done by then you start looking at, the squad are coming back for pre-season. And I look at it in terms of where Liverpool are. And I think that's one of the reasons that I think the fan base are getting agitated, is because of the work that Liverpool have done. No other club really, other than City, who are at the Club World Cup, no other club has gone out and signed multiple players yet. And we've got Zubimendi as our kind of first big one. But where I look at Liverpool potentially getting ahead is if we still haven't done the business by the start of the preseason and particularly the tour, because at that point, Liverpool's new signings are integrating with Liverpool, with Arne Slot. They're learning, they're adapting, they are gaining ground that we aren't. As long as this happens before then, I don't think it's a problem. But yeah, I can understand why people are getting a bit nervous, but I'm calm for now.
You are calm. Mohammed, by the way, says Rory subscribers are growing massively for a reason. Top guy, you're getting a lot of love tonight, Rory. A lot of love. And listen, I don't doubt that. I've known you for some time. We've had the pleasure of meeting at the Emirates. You are a very, very nice fellow. So do keep up with your channel. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show. If I could just get your thoughts on the two players themselves. Don't need to go into sort of deep dive analysis, but do you have a preference for either of these two?
Barely. Like I've always said, I genuinely would be very happy with both of them. I can see the pros, the cons. I think I would just edge it Šeško purely based on, as much as next season feels like it needs to be the season, Arsenal Football Club will still exist seasons beyond that. And so long term, I think Šeško is probably the best option. I appreciate what people are saying in terms of it. It seems like Gyökeres really wants Arsenal. Like, that's great. It doesn't massively bother me. He's kind of put himself in a position where he's made it very public he's leaving Sporting, and clearly Arsenal is the best option for him. So I don't read too much into that. But yeah, I'd edge it Šeško, but I would be delighted with either.
Fair enough. And maybe that's part of the problem, that both strikers are very attractive options for Arsenal. The club is probably confident that both strikers could come in and do the job or a job, and maybe they're a bit undecided. Emil's just put some PTSD into my mind, says, bring back Oba. I mean, look, Lyon getting relegated today. Lacazette, one last dance. Is that going to be the panic signing at the end of the window?
Oh, imagine.
No, let's not. Let's move into midfield. Zubimendi has signed. I was watching Charles Watts' excellent daily show that he does with James Benge. He says that Zubimendi has signed. It is sealed. It is delivered. He thinks he has nabbed the number 36 shirt. And I know Hand of Arsenal is in the chat, and he broke this story weeks and weeks ago, so he is the GOAT. I think we are delaying because of accountancy purposes, but nothing to do with us, actually to do with Real Sociedad. High-level thoughts on the addition of this guy, and I've grayed out Jorginho and Partey, of course, who is currently a member of the release list for Arsenal this summer.
Yeah, I love the signing. I feel like I'd started going a bit off it looking at Sociedad this season, but I think that was really a Sociedad issue. You look at how he plays for Spain, obviously a higher level team. I think he's going to be an excellent signing. You know, it's Jorginho with more mobility. I think he's incredibly quick mentally, like the way he reads the game, the speed at which he reads the game. That's where I think he's going to help us in transition. And some of his underlying numbers are exceptional. So yeah, very, very happy with it. And you look at the players, the teams rather, that wanted him: Real Madrid, Liverpool. Like, yeah, clearly it's a top talent. So it's been a bit, I do think because of the way it's happened, it's kind of gone under the radar or not been appreciated as much as, you know, if last week suddenly out of nowhere Ornstein had said Zubimendi to Arsenal, we'd have all been going pretty crazy about it.
Do you know, that's a really salient point, Rory, in that this feels like it's been dragged out for almost a year. You know, there was noise about Zubimendi last summer. Then there was a little bit of noise in January, but of course, with all of our injuries, it was, you know, we've got to get it forward, got no one in the end. And then it's kind of resurfaced. And I feel like Ornstein's always been very, very confident that it was going to be Arsenal. And now that it's happened, and even though we know that he's been at Colney, we know he's signed the contract, we know he's picked a shirt number, I just feel that when the announcement is made, it's just going to be like, okay, yeah. Zubimendi. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like, exactly. It has taken the shine off it a little bit. I'll see you and raise you with your comparison to Jorginho. I like that. You know, he's like a more mobile, covers a bit more grass than Jorginho, but I think his double-footedness is really underrated. Clive Palmer came on the Daily Grind maybe about a week ago, and he said that he's got a full set of clubs in both feet, referring to the ability to sort of chip and go long and go short. And I'm really excited about this guy. He's going to be a very efficient player in terms of moving the ball on, helping us break the lines. He's going to be that sort of quarterback playing deep and controlling the tempo. I can't wait to see him in action. If Thomas Partey goes, and actually, even if Thomas Partey stayed, I still think we're one short in midfield. But there's been a lot of talk about Miles Lewis-Skelly playing in midfield. He's obviously had his breakout season this season. Hasn't really played too many games in his career. Still a very young boy. Has signed his new contract or agreed terms to sign a new contract. Now established as England's main left back and our number one left back. Would you consider him in midfield next season, Rory?
Yeah, I think it's one of those. I think the way we are, I don't think he necessarily needs to either going into next season either be, okay, he's our left back or okay, he's our midfielder. I feel like the replacement for Partey, if it ends up making more sense that the replacement for Partey is effectively Jorel Hato and you're moving Skelly into midfield at that point, then that's fine. If it's someone like Lucien Agume, who is less experienced, then you've still got Lewis-Skelly as a left-back option, but he can play in midfield as well. I feel like he doesn't need to kind of be categorized as either or. I think he should have more opportunities in midfield next season, because I also want to see a lot more of Calafiori next season. And I do think Calafiori could very comfortably compete at left-back. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but yeah, ultimately the fact that he's signed a new contract is incredible, because the fact that we're talking about him at that age competing in midfield and at left back for us with the level that we have in the squad, I think is remarkable.
Just on his contract, depending on who you follow on socials, it has been leaked that he's going to get a 6-figure wage a week, which for an 18-year-old boy is obviously a lot of money. Do you at all feel anything towards that? And let me go first, because it's important that I sort of reinforce this with particularly our new viewers to this channel. I have covered on this channel, we have covered on this channel a number of times the way that certain young black men get covered by the media, certain young Arsenal black players get covered by the media. And to me, this stinks of envy, this stinks of jealousy, this stinks of a little bit of hate, and you could say outright racism. For me, I think if you're good enough, then you're worthy of your salary and your place in this team. So for me, if this guy's going to get 5 million quid a year, 100 grand a week, for argument's sake, I have no problem with that at all. He is our number one left back. He's probably top 3 left backs in the Premier League. He's England's number one left back. I have no problem with it. Is that kind of how you feel, or do you see it differently?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think if you look at who he's competing with, he is comfortably ahead of Zinchenko in the pecking order. I think Zinchenko's on 160, 170, something like that a week. We brought in Calafiori, and I think he's on 120, something like that. And again, Lewis-Skelly's competing with him. So I don't think his age should be irrelevant. And I tell you what, if it went the other way and we had offered him 80 grand a week and he turned it down and gone to another club for 120 grand a week, we would have all been asking, what the hell have we done? So that's the going rate for a player of his level. And I think, the one worry I guess you have is someone of his age, suddenly earning that amount. What could it do to them? I think the way he is, his mentality, I think with his mother as well, I don't see it being a problem at all.
Nah, same. And listen, again, I'm slightly older than most people watching in the chat, and I remember the Ashley Cole transfer saga. A lot's been made of it, but how he reacted to not getting that extra 5 grand and his agent, we should have paid it at the time. He was the best left back in the world, and we've done really well to kind of secure him. Just on my take in terms of moving into midfield, I don't see the rush. I see the temptation. I see the attractiveness because we know what he can do, and technically such a brilliant footballer, carries the ball with ease, players bounce off him. He's just so robust physically. He's just a great player. And you could say that he actually plays in midfield anyway when he sort of tucks in. I love that you mentioned Jarell Hato. I don't know how to pronounce his surname properly, but I love him. I think he could be a really good addition to this team, and he'd be someone that would prefer to sort of overlap. He's very one-footed, whereas Lewis-Skelly is just the most versatile, technically gifted footballer, could play midfield if we needed to. And if we don't extend Partey, so when I say extend, if we don't renew or refresh with Thomas Partey, which I don't think we will, he could be that midfield option because we've got a big summer shopping list. Lots of people in the chat praising MLS and his technical ability. He has signed he's definitely agreed his new contract. Club is just yet to announce it. Yesterday, Rory, I did a feature with Alex Barker of The Athletic on Rodrygo because Real Madrid have named their price. And I guess the thumbnail of tonight's show, Undecided, it had Šeško and Gyökeres on it, but I've heard that this guy's father is his agent. And I've heard that we're sort of, we're sniffing around, we're waiting for the right time. I just wonder if we're absolutely set on him to push the button, or are we just going to, again, sort of wait until the summer just pans out and see where it goes? And there is a risk that we lose out on him, or he changes his mind, or Xabi Alonso changes his mind. I'm a little bit nervous with this as well. What are your thoughts on the player and thoughts on the saga?
Yeah, I mean, I love Rodrygo as an option. Weirdly, months ago, kind of before there were any links of him moving away from Real Madrid, I did a video of sort of alternative signings, and he came up as a player that I thought could be available. The fact that he is now actually available, I think you have to get it done. If you can get it done, you have to try. The worry is that everything that's coming out is that even if he is going to leave, this is going to be a deal that happens much later in the window. And I do just feel like, if you wait, we've already seen Nico Williams is off to Barcelona. How many more players will have moved on? And then if you don't get Rodrygo, what position do you leave yourself in? Because I do think the left wing is, I think it's as important as the striker. I really do. And Rodrygo would elevate us unbelievably off the left-hand side. I'm never a fan of when the player's father is their agent or a family member. So who knows what sort of games his dad might end up playing. But yeah, if we can get it done, and maybe this is why we're being stingy over the kind of 10 million extra that we might need to pay for Šeško or whatever, because we might need every sort of bit of money we can get to pull a deal like this off. But yeah, if we can, you got to try.
Yeah, and listen, Jonathan Cage just said that Liverpool have got Wirtz. We need to respond. If we were to get Rodrygo, and of course, if Liverpool, if Florian Wirtz happens to be their biggest summer signing, which do you think is the better deal?
Rodrygo for 77 million for me is the better deal than Florian Wirtz. Florian Wirtz is a brilliant player, but I feel like you're talking about a guy that At Rodrygo's age, he's played 260 games for Real Madrid. He's literally won it all. He's performed on the biggest stage consistently. And I don't even feel like you've seen the best of him because you've seen him consistently playing off the right, which he doesn't enjoy as much. And ultimately, statistically, he's not as good off the right. So, yeah, for 77 million, I think he'd be the better deal.
Interesting. Reese says, hello, fellow Gunners. Les, Foggy and Go, guys. There's hundreds of you watching live. Please do drop a like in the video. Subscribe if you like what you see. By the way, we've got Sammy Mockbell of the BBC tomorrow night. I'm going to push him hard on what is actually going on behind the scenes. And if you've missed any of the videos that we've done over the last couple of weeks, this is a new feature, a new type of show. Please get involved. They are on the channel feed. Hand of Arsenal says, Rodrygo is a good player, I think. With a smiley face. What's he trying to tell us? What's he trying to tell us? Rory, before we take questions and chat, let me have any questions about anything to do with Arsenal, anything to do with Arteta, anything that you want to know, aimed ideally at Rory, but I'm happy to get involved as well. I've asked lots of people this, their unpopular transfer opinion, Arsenal edition. This is a player that you would be interested in seeing us sign that you think might not go down very well. Before you name the player, describe his playing style and why you want him in his position, and then you can name him as I bring him up on screen.
All right. So, well, this is a central midfielder, an 8 that can play as a 6, exceptional running power, covers a lot of ground, a duel winner, both aerially and on the ground, crashes the box well, a proper athlete. And I feel like we are missing, beyond Declan Rice, a little bit of that kind of midfield mobility.
Sounds like Granit Xhaka, Rory. No, I kid. Let me have your moment. Go on.
But he does currently play for Chelsea.
Boo.
Although he doesn't currently play for Chelsea. And that may be the issue. He is currently not playing for Chelsea, which may be a reason for him to wish to leave. 21 years old, Andre Santos.
Indeed. I don't know why the screen's gone blank there, but hopefully you guys can see that now on your screens. No? Yes? No? Is it completely blank?
Oh.
Give me a second.
Nearly.
There you go. There you go. Andre Santos of Chelsea. Listen. No, it's not Pogba. It's not Pogba.
Not Pogba.
Wayne did that on the Late Night Lounge on Friday, and that went down like a lead balloon. I guess he's going to be unpopular because of the Chelsea link. Ray Bean, no more Chelsea rejects. It's not funny anymore. He's not quite the reject. He's obviously not played for them. They signed him for £18 million when he was an 18-year-old kid, as they do. They seem to stockpile the youngest talent. Went out on loan. Also had a stint at Forest. Only played one game for them, but he's now back with Chelsea, and he's not getting any game time at the Club World Cup. Is that why you think it could potentially happen, or is he just a player that you really like?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked him anyway, just from bits that I'd seen. I think from midfield, he got like 11 goals and 4 assists for Strasbourg this season. And from what I've seen of Chelsea fans, a lot of Chelsea fans really like him, really thought that he was going to get kind of a break at the Club World Cup. And it's not even been that he's not, he's not maybe started. He's not played a minute in their opening 2 games. And a lot of Chelsea fans whose opinions I rate are worried about him leaving. And so I feel like for us, it suits us. It's a young player that, like I said, adds something that I fear, even with Zubamendi coming in, we're missing in terms of someone that can eat up that ground. And I think he'd be relatively cheap.
What Taylor says, he looks class, would probably cost a lot of money, but look, they bought him for 18 million quid, and I don't know what they're doing with stockpiling all of these players.
Well, that's the thing.
There's got to be something that's coming up for them in terms of transfer embargo, or, we've just seen Lyon get relegated to lower divisions because their financial situation is in complete disarray, not necessarily because they've been stockpiling or sort of financially doping, but there's got to be something here. By the way, some crazy shouts for unpopular signings in the chat. Bruno Fernandes, lots of people, McSauce, Andy knows, he knows. We were just talking about that in your recent holiday. Hand of Arsenal, what's going on here? Mine would have been Billy Gilmore, but we signed Zubamendi. I don't know is that tongue in cheek?
He's joking.
Are you being naughty? Am I going to have to get involved in the chats, in the group chat afterwards? Anajit's given just a shout out for Garnacho. He would be my player, by the way, Rory. Oh, no? No, absolutely not. That's an unequivocal no.
Yeah, you don't want to drag that mess, his brother, the immaturity, absolutely. And I don't even think he's that good.
Oh, wow. By the way, why are Chelsea not using Andre Santos, do you think, Rory?
I don't know. Why do Chelsea do anything that Chelsea do these days? Why are they, I don't know. Truthfully, well, possibly because they do feel like they're going to sell him this summer. And this is, it's like what they did with Trevor Chalobah and various other players that they kind of effectively just exile them and then sell them.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay, well, look, we're going to be watching that, and let's see if he gets any more minutes as part of the Chelsea sort of pre-season stuff. I can't believe Arsenal's pre-season is just a couple of weeks away. That is quite nerve-wracking when you think about the lack of activity. Although, Hand of Arsenal did say earlier in the show, for those of you the eagle-eyed amongst us, Kepa was at the Emirates Stadium today. He says, "Good evening, Latte fam." I didn't actually know that, but I've been off my socials all day. Right, let's take some questions for Rory. Here's Andy says, "How about an FK and Rory weekly show? Would be a great watch. Great show tonight." Thank you so much for that, Andy. Really appreciate that. Rory is, are you? Okay, well, let's make it happen. Mike Jones says, "Rodrygo and Watkins versus only one of Šeško and Gyökeres." So would you Rodrygo and Watkins or one of Šeško and Gyökeres?
Rodrygo and Watkins, 100%. I don't think Watkins would be a bad buy short term for a reasonable fee, and I think Rodrygo would be as influential, more influential than Šeško or Gyökeres. And I still think Kai Havertz starts next season and will continue to at least attempt to prove people wrong. So I'd be okay with that.
I wouldn't turn my nose up to Ollie Watkins. In fact, I've said a couple of times that if we manage to nab one of Šeško or Gyökeres, just get Watkins anyway. You can never have too many good players. Stack your squad. We have to learn from last season. Jonathan says, I think I know the answer to this. Why are we such bad sellers? Anelka is our third highest sale ever, and that was back in 1999. City and Liverpool get so much more. What do you reckon, Rory?
I don't know. I think you gain a reputation, and I think we gained a reputation as just being a bad selling club, and we also had a reputation of just allowing players to leave on frees, and we got into a state where players would just run down their contracts. And I think it takes time to remove that kind of impression, in the same way that I think United, everyone thinks that you can just mug United off in terms of how much they'll buy a player off you for. It will take them time to kind of shake that off. So yeah, I see that, people are angry that Zinchenko is probably going to go for 12 or 15 million quid. But the issue is he's on high wages, he doesn't play much, and he's only got a year left on his contract. We leave ourselves in these positions. And equally, I do think sometimes with the fan base, when it came up about selling Martinelli, people wanted to hold on to Martinelli, even if we go and sign a Rodrygo, but then they'll complain if next summer you can only sell Martinelli for 30 million, whereas this year we could sell him for, 50. So I think, I often think we don't get the timing right. We hold on to players for maybe a year longer than we should because we're not ruthless enough in that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, for me, it's Michael Edwards. I think it's the caliber of your director of football. And actually, you make a really excellent point about the reputation. I hadn't thought about that. You kind of just look at Edu, and then you look at Jason Ato, and you look at, the sort of predecessors and, Raul Sanllehi and things like that. But actually, Liverpool for the longest time under Michael Edwards sold high, and they sold at the right time. And now they're getting 40 million for Harvey Elliott, 40 million for Kwanzaa, 70, 80 million for Darwin Nunez is the asking price, and they're somehow going to get that over the line. I think you're absolutely right, actually, about a reputation. That's quite interesting. A couple of quick fire questions. Mohammed said, I'll come to that, Josh, in a second. Mohammed says, is it a risk letting Thomas Partey go?
Yeah, it is. It's a risk letting him and Jorginho go in the same window. I think that's a lot of experience that you use. Partey played a lot of minutes last season that we relied on. You're relying at this point on Zubimendi kind of hitting the ground running and not taking time to adapt. And we also used Partey. I didn't like the fact that we did. I didn't think it worked, but we used Partey as a right back at times last season when we had to. And so I do think, if he goes, and you assume Tomiyasu is not going to be around much, that you lose the kind of absolute backup option at right back as well. So it's a bit of a risk.
That is an excellent point, the right back option. For me, I think it's the right time to move him on. I just feel that we should just renew the midfield. He's not going to get any fitter, younger, more mobile, dynamic, etc. But the right back thing is quite interesting, especially with Jurien Timber's bone injury. Josh says, if Rodrygo doesn't come, where would you turn? Garnacho is his name.
Not Garnacho. Not Garnacho. I mean, I'd love to think you could try and prize Barcola at PSG, but apparently not. Leao doesn't massively tempt me. I'd actually start looking at Lookman, I think would be my next option.
Not Semenyo?
For 70 million, I think he's a little bit overpriced. I really like him. For 70 million, that is a lot. So yeah, maybe Lookman.
Okay. Before I go to the last question, a very kind donation to the channel from Paul Pavlinsky. Paul, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Goes a long way to the running cost of the channel, and it's greatly received. He says, appreciate what you're doing, FK. You built a great community. Thank you. That's a testament to you guys in the chat. Loyal viewers, loyal chatters. Fantastic. Thank you so much for all the support. Hope that's enough for a cup of iced latte in London. It is more than enough. I really appreciate you, Paul. Thank you so much for your kind words and your generosity. Last question we will go to is from Josh. Oh, no, it's from Andy. What positions do you reckon we'll have filled by the end of the summer?
I think we'll definitely do the striker. I'm not worried about that. I think we will get a left winger. And then I think we might get one more attacker, more of a right winger, but someone that's versatile. I think we'll bring in 3 attacking players this summer. I think the one that we might not end up doing is the probably an extra midfielder that I think we do need, but I feel like we might end up just relying on.
So you reckon Kepa, because obviously it's going to happen, Zubamendi, 3 attacking players, potentially a left back? Hato?
I think that's the one that might not happen.
Okay.
Even though we've been linked. But
this has just caught my eye from AFC. Would you take a punt on Anthony Gordon?
I probably would. I was on Inside Gooners with Clive the other day, and he's
I saw
Anthony Gordon. So which kind of he maybe persuaded me. I would. He's got the work rate. The only thing that worries me about him is his consistency towards the end of seasons. The last couple of seasons, I felt like he's dropped off at the end of both seasons. But yeah, good player.
Fair enough. Well, listen, I think we are going to end it there. We like to keep these shows short and sweet. So there you have it. Šeško and Gyökeres. Nothing to do with their playing style. More about what are Arsenal doing. What's Andrea Berta's, Big Bertie's tactics there with regards to the players. We talked about Miles Lewis-Skelly maybe moving into midfield and Zubamendi when he arrives. And Rory's just taking your questions. There's not really much else to talk about. Tomorrow, I'm going to be joined by Sami Mokbel of the BBC. I'm going to push him. I'm going to get your questions from the chat to him as well. We're going to be joined by him, I think, at around 9 o'clock tomorrow night. I'll schedule the show, of course, so stay tuned for that. If you're tuning in late, you can get these on Apple and Spotify and your podcast outlets, normally 24 hours, 36 hours after the show. And if you want ad-free content and you want access to match day tickets and all that sort of stuff, head over to Patreon and support the channel. Rory, where can people find you on socials?
Just Rory Talks Football in most places.
Come on, tell us more. What are you doing over the summer? You're doing content,
I've been doing a lot.
Gaming?
I'll tell you what, a little bit of gaming, not so much at the moment. I guess, Rory Talks Football on YouTube every day. There's either a video or a live stream. And just Rory Talks on TikTok at the moment. I'm doing a lot of videos that aren't to do with football. So recently went to Naples, had some vlogs and stuff from there. So if you want to get to know me on a personal level a little bit more, then you can go and check that out too.
Do you know, I had no idea you were doing that. I'm too old for TikTok, but I might just venture in because I do like a bit of culture. All right, we're going to leave it there, ladies and gents, boys and girls. On your way out, please do like the video. Subscribe, of course, if you're new. Get involved. We'll be back with Sami Mokbel tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we'll have Alexander Moneypenny of The Different Knock. And on Friday, Art de Roche of The Athletic. Look after yourselves. Take care. Sleep well. Stay cool. Bye for now.